The year is 1992. A Japanese video game studio called HAL Laboratory is staring down the barrel of total financial ruin. They are 1.5 billion yen in the hole, weeks away from declaring bankruptcy and locking the doors. Nintendo steps in and offers a bailout, but with one brutal condition. They have to produce a flawless, undeniable blockbuster hit. And the kicker? They have to build it on the aging Nintendo Entertainment System. Think about the market in 1992. The NES is practically dead. The 16-bit Super Nintendo has already taken over the world. Releasing an 8-bit game now is corporate suicide. But a 22-year-old developer named Masahiro Sakurai looks at the math and refuses to let his company die. This is the unvarnished history of Kirby's Adventure, a messy story of crushing debt, impossible programming, and a massive 6-megabit cartridge that pushed the NES so far past its breaking point, it choked the CPU. Forget the cute pink mascot. This is exactly how a desperate studio built the greatest swan song in the history of 8-bit hardware. To understand the technical miracle of Kirby's Adventure, you have to understand the desperation inside HAL Laboratory. The studio was bleeding cash. Nintendo's ruthless president, Hiroshi Yamauchi, demanded that a 32-year-old programmer named Satoru Iwata be made president of HAL. Iwata took the job, looked at his protege, Masahiro Sakurai, and handed him an ultimatum: build a game that saves this company. Sakurai looked at his previous creation, Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. It was successful, but short and way too easy. Hardcore gamers ignored it. He needed to thread an impossible needle, design a game a 5-year-old could beat, but a 20-year-old veteran could master. So, he invented the copy ability. Instead of just inhaling generic enemies, Kirby could swallow them and steal their specific powers. He could breathe fire, wield a sword, or turn into a hovering UFO. But pulling that off created a suffocating technical conflict. The NES was never designed to handle a protagonist with 24 distinct movesets. Every time Kirby copied an ability, the engine had to load new sprite animations, physics, and collision data into a microscopic amount of RAM. To make it work, HAL begged for the largest cartridge Nintendo could manufacture. They built a 6-megabit behemoth, powered by the advanced MMC3 memory management chip just to handle the traffic. They didn't just want a big game, they wanted an 8-bit game that looked 16-bit. They programmed lush, multi-layered parallax scrolling backgrounds, a feature the NES hardware wasn't supposed to do. They pushed so many detailed sprites onto the screen that the aging CPU couldn't process the math fast enough. The game lagged heavily during intense moments. Sakurai didn't care about the lag. He refused to compromise the visual fidelity, forcing that dead 8-bit hardware to render his 16-bit vision. When Kirby's Adventure launched in March 1993, the SNES was 2 years old. Nobody was supposed to care about a new NES game, but the final product was so technically staggering, it sold millions of copies, single-handedly pulling HAL from the brink of death. You think you know Kirby's Adventure, you've stolen the UFO ability, you've beaten King Dedede, but beneath the pastel pixels hides a labyrinth of desperate coding hacks and hidden signatures that 90% of retro gamers miss. Let's dig into the lore. Secret number 1, the impossible 3D tower. In the butter building level, Kirby walks around the outside edge of a massive stone tower. As he walks, the entire tower physically rotates in smooth PS-Udo 3D motion. The problem? The NES can't do 3D math. It has no Mode 7 chip. So how did they do it? Pure brute force. The programmers manually animated the background tiles. Every frame of that rotation is a painstakingly hand-drawn 2D image swapped into memory at lightning speed to create an optical illusion. It was an agonizing memory hack built solely to flex on the industry. Secret number 2, the desperate developer signature. HAL knew this game might be their last, so they left a secret signature. If you fly to the highest, most obscure corners of specific maps, you find hidden doors dropping you into rooms where star blocks spell out HAL. Today, HL rooms are a cute staple. In 1993, they were a digital tombstone, built in case the company went bankrupt. Secret number 3, the Eldritch horror pivot. Kirby is marketed as a relaxing franchise, but this game established a terrifying trope.
You spend the game fighting apples and penguins, but the final boss isn't King Dedede. It's Nightmare, a screen-distorting biomechanical space demon that belongs in Contra. Sakurai designed this jarring tonal shift to prove Kirby wasn't just a children's game, birthing the Eldritch horror final boss trope that defines the series today. Secret number 4, Kirby is the villain. Nintendo markets Kirby as the pure-hearted hero, but look at the lore. Dedede didn't steal the Star Rod out of greed. He broke it to seal away Nightmare and protect the Fountain of Dreams, giving the pieces to his friends to guard the world. And Kirby? He assaults all of them, beats up Dedede, reassembles the rod, and accidentally unleashes a cosmic demon. You aren't saving Dreamland, you are a pink wrecking ball destroying a planetary defense system.
The legacy of Kirby's Adventure goes beyond plastic cartridges. It saved the careers of Nintendo's most important modern figures. HAL paid off its 1.5 billion yen debt. Satoru Iwata proved his genius to the board, eventually becoming the CEO who delivered the DS and the Wii. Masahiro Sakurai proved his philosophy, accessible for beginners, deep for veterans, was flawless. 6 years later, he applied that exact philosophy to a fighting game, inventing Super Smash Bros. If this game fails, HL goes bankrupt. Iwata never runs Nintendo. Smash Bros. Never exists. Kirby's Adventure is the peak of 8-bit programming. It was a 16-bit game trapped inside an 8-bit body. The final glorious roar of the NES before it faded into history. Kirby's Adventure was a desperate life raft. It pushed dead hardware to its physical limits, saved a studio, and forged Nintendo's greatest legends. So Kirby's Adventure wasn't born from some magical, happy creative spark. It was forged by suffocating corporate pressure, outdated 8-bit hardware, and a desperate studio that simply could not afford to play it small. Look closely at the mechanics. The greatest innovation of this cartridge was never its pastel cuteness. It was the sheer pragmatic genius of looking at an enemy and ruthlessly turning it into a disposable tool, a tactical choice, and an infinite source of replay value. That little pink puffball only survived the brutal 16-bit transition for one specific reason. HAL Laboratory built a piece of software that looked incredibly gentle on a CRT television, but was engineered like a monster right down to the bare metal. And if you want more history without the fluff, subscribe.